The Hall of Fame class, based on the immediate reaction that I have seen, is disappointment. Disappointment from fans and many members of the media. Disappointment. And the reason why, I imagine, is all the first-time eligibles didn't make it. None of them. These are all guys that got passed up in their first chance, and the guys include Andre Johnson, who is, without a doubt, the best receiver in the history of the Houston Texans, and will be for a very long time, certainly now that DeAndre Hopkins has moved on, and was absolutely considered by all of his peers as head and shoulders above virtually everyone else. DeMarcus Ware, one of the greatest pass rushing, if you will, outside linebackers, he didn't make it either. And when a Hall of Fame class is missing first ballot Hall of Famers, it feels less than. I'll be very honest. I've been covering a bunch of them. But what this class is, in my estimation, even though Andre Johnson and also DeMarcus Ware didn't make it, just to name a couple of the first ballot guys, what is in fact missing is what in fact this class is a group of players who, even though you may not have had them on your fantasy team because they're not position players like that, or may not have been somebody that you think at the time was the best of the best of the best, but over the history of their careers, amongst their peers, considered exactly that. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You ask any member of the HOF, certainly there last night, and I heard them all talking about it. Bryant Young.
Yep.
Beast.
Richard Seymour.
Monster.
Okay.
The Pats run a start.
Sam Mills. Okay.
God bless.
Obviously, a lot of people don't remember him, and he's been gone a while.
He was the man, though.
And Leroy Butler.
Yeah.
Mr. Lambeau Leap himself.
Late, man.
Yep.
Okay. These guys, along with Tony Baselli as well.
Who's been waiting a while.
These guys, all of them considered by their peers dominant players worthy of selection in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Now, are there other Hall of Famers who feel differently? Maybe so. But I didn't hear it last night in the green room, getting ready to front that announcement. And it's kind of like a lot of house cleaning in that respect. Yeah. There's a bunch of people that have been waiting, and I know that should include Torry Holt. I think he is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And they're really particular, these selectors, very particular, very, very particular on bestowing first ballot Hall of Fame status for some reason on wide receivers. Mm-hmm. Like Andre Johnson, is he one of the best of his generation? Check.
Absolutely.
Is he the best in the history of his franchise? Check. Is he better than Randy Moss and Jerry Rice, who are first ballot Hall of Famers? That's when some selectors will go, got to sit there and think about that one, because when you do that, you are bestowing this person with the status equal to those in that hall. And for some reason, that's not afforded to quarterbacks or defensive ends.
That was a big issue when T.O. came up. T.O. has all the numbers, all deserving of being a first ballot. Waited 2 times, got in on the 3rd try.
And that's why I think he wound up being at the UT Chattanooga to announce it, gave his speech, which is kind of crazy that he did not allow himself. And I haven't seen him back there yet either. Yep. No Canes either. I know there are some Canes in the Hall of Fame that are kind of like, what gives there? No Reggie Wayne, he was up for it. And Devin Hester.
Yep.
Devin Hester not making it either. And the reason for that, if I have any interpretation, would be folks do not consider in the selectors room returners deserving, I guess, of first ballot Hall of Fame status, even though if this was the Hall of Fame of returners, and it should be, because they're football players, Devin Hester is that greatest ever at that position, especially since I remember being there in 2007, 2006 calendar year in Miami. It was Bears, it was Colts, and this is, you can't tell the story of the Super Bowl without this, even though the Bears got waxed in the rest of that game with Rex and now Texans head coach Lovie Smith. The whole stadium, the entire stadium was sitting there saying, no way are the Colts going to kick this thing off to Devin Hester. And there is no way they're going to let him do his thing. And there's no way, even if they somehow let him do his thing, that he would absolutely come up with a kick return for a touchdown to open the Super Bowl. Like, we're never going to see that. And the greatest moments, individual achievements in the history of sports, or wait a minute, just to make sure that I sound like it's highfalutin, in the history of sport. The greatest ones are when you expect something to happen and it then does. How rare is that?
Yeah.
And Hester did it.
Did it.
And it still didn't matter. But, you know, on that night when it all came out in the wash, Hester's going to get in one day, but he's not a first ballot guy. And I know his advocates are real ticked off about that.
Coach Prime being one of his biggest advocates.
Dick Vermeil, speaking of coaches, he totally deserves this. Just Google his resume, kids, and just see how far back he goes in this sport. 1960. I mean, this man goes back 60 years, and the number of coaches he has crossed paths with or hired him and what he has done and what he did in Philadelphia and then him coming back and leading St. Louis to the podium and, you know, his career in broadcasting, talking about football. I mean, he could be as a broadcaster in the Hall of Fame wing. And just a dynamite human. And his speech might be the one most look forward to when it's all said and done. Because, you know, he's going to cry.
He's definitely going to cry.
And we all love the emotion of it, and this man wears it on his sleeve, and I can't wait to see it. So congratulations to him and his family. That's my take on the Hall of Fame class. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.